This lesson is Understand Class Inheritance in JavaScript. The objectives for this lesson are to learn to use class inheritance, learn to use the super keyword, learn to override methods, and learn to extend built-in JavaScript classes. We're once again going to create our movie class with properties and methods. We're going to create a new class called rental movie that inherits from the movie class. So that gives us all those properties and methods from the movie class, plus we can now add on additional properties and methods for the rental movie class. To do this, we use the extends keyword. Once we've extended that movie class, we can access the base class, in this case movie, using the super keyword. So for instance, we can access any public properties like the film ID by doing super dot and then the name of that public property. We can also access any public methods in the base class as well, but you cannot access private fields or methods. So let's start out and take a look at a simple example of class inheritance in JavaScript. So once again, I have a simple HTML file here, and in the script, I've created my movie class that has the same constructor, the same public properties we've seen before, as well as the one method getMovieInfo. We're then going to create another class called rental movie that extends movie. Now again, you got to make sure you have movie above rental movie so that it's defined before you try to use it. Then I've added another constructor inside of rental movie with the ID, the name, the genres, actors, but I've added on price because we have a price now for the rental movie. I'm going to use the super keyword to call the constructor in the base class, and I'm going to pass in ID, name, genres, and actors. So that means it's going to come up here and pass these values into these parameters, and then we assign them there. But I'm going to take this last value right here, price, and I'm going to assign it to the public instance property I'm creating in the rental movie. So I've added on just one single additional property to the rental movie. You can now see on line 75, let movie1 equals new rental movie, passing in the ID, the name of the movie, the genre, the actors, and then the price. On line 78, we're going to just do movie1.getMovieInfo to see the generic movie information, and then I'll also print out the rental price. And then I'll create another instance of another rental movie with some different values. I'll also change the price to show you that, yes, you still can access those public properties, price, for instance, and change the price, and then we'll call the getMovieInfo again and look at the price. So let's go ahead and run this. And now we can see our first one, the film ID 1, the name, the genres, the actors. All that came from the get movie information. And then I added one more accounts.log to write out the rental price. And then you see film 2 there, and you see its rental price. So we have this getMovieInfo method in the movie class, but what if we wanted to add it to the rental movie class? We can use the exact same method definition in the extended class, the rental movie class, and we can call the original method using the super keyword, and then we can just add on whatever else we want once we get the data back from the other method, the one in the movie class. Let's take a look at overriding a class method in JavaScript. So in this HTML file, here is my class movie. It's the exact same one that we had in the previous example. But now in the rental movie class, I have the same constructor, but now look at this new getMovieInfo. It's the same name as the one that we had in the movie class. But look what I'm doing. Let info equals super.getMovieInfo. So I get the information, the film ID, the name, the genres, the actors. I get that string back into this variable called info. I am then going to return from this getMovie, return the info that I got, add a new line, and now let's add on the rental price. So we're going to do price colon and then this dot price. So now when we create an instance of the movie class and give it its data, when we call getMovieInfo, because movie doesn't have the rental price, even though I'm passing something to this $3.99 to this movie, it doesn't get it, right? Because that's the movie class. However, in let movie2 equals new rental movie, that one does have the price. So when I call its getMovieInfo, it's now calling the overridden one. So let's try this out. So in the first one, we just created the movie class, so we don't get anything. But in the second one, we're calling the get movie info on the rental movie, so the price is now included. Let's take a look at one more class inheritance sample. In this HTML file, I've created a class called product on line 24. You can see the constructor is accepting 3 parameters, and I'm going to take those values and assign them to 3 public properties: product ID, name, and product number. I also have a get product info method that returns the product ID, the name, and the product number. I'm then going to create a motorcycle class that extends product. It's going to add on a single property called engine size, and I'll go ahead and take the parameter being passed in and assign that to that public property. The get product info method is going to override the other one, so I'm going to let info equals super.getProductInfo, and then I'm going to add on the engine size when I return the product information. So once again, if we let product equal to a new product, I can pass in 3 pieces of data, and I can display that product data. If I create an instance of a motorcycle class, I add a 4th parameter, and that's the engine size. So we'll display the motorcycle data now from the get product info, and it will include the engine size. So let's go ahead and run this. And we take a look. The first one is simply a product. The second and third ones are motorcycles, because you can see now they've got the engine size coming back from that get product info method. So we've extended our own classes, but you can also extend the built-in JavaScript classes as well. So any class in JavaScript can be extended. String, number, Boolean, object, all of these are actually classes in JavaScript. Let's take a look at extending a JavaScript class. In this HTML file, I'm creating a new class on line 30 called currency that extends number. The reason why is I want to add on an as US currency method. So what I'm going to do is I want to be able to have this method that I can call on any number and turn it into something that looks like a currency value in US dollars. So I write the code you see there on lines 34 and 35. So I'm using the toLocale string. Then on line 40, I let price equals new currency, passing in $3.99 for instance. Because it's now a currency class, I can call the as US currency. And when I run this in the console window, we should see a US dollar sign $3.99. Let's take a look at creating a custom error class in JavaScript. So I'm going to add a file to a scripts folder, and I'm going to name that file myerror.js. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a class in here that extends the error object in JavaScript. We can then add on any properties that we wish, and we can pass in any values for those properties to the constructor. So let's create a custom error class in JavaScript. You can see the classes folder with the file myerror.js. If we open that, you can see class myerror extends error. In the construction, I'm passing in the message, function name, class name, and then any other parameters that you might want to pass in. And I'm going to pass any arguments then to the base class. Message we know has to go in plus any other parameters. I then set up some custom public properties, the name, error date, function name, class name that got passed in. And then one thing I want to do is I want to ensure that I can capture the stack trace. The way we do that is we do if error.capture stack trace, call the capture stack trace method, passing in this, and I pass in the class name. I then have a toString method on myerror that returns all of the information of anything passed in. If we go to this custom error HTML file here, you can see what I'm going to do is I'm going to try attempt division custom error. So inside of the try block, I'm actually calling this attempt division custom error, which is down here. And you can see that what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a result equals x divided by 10. So I'm going to attempt a division by something where x is not defined. I'm going to get an error. So it's going to go into the catch block. I'm then going to throw a new my errors. I'm using the class that I created. So obviously I had to include the script up here on line 22. So I create a new my error class, passing in the error message, and then I'm passing in the function name and the name for the class that I'm in. So that then gets passed in to this my error. So there it is, the function name and the class name gets passed in. That's going to also be reported when I throw the error. It's going to come back up here to this catch block, right? And then I'll just call that toString on that error object, and that will report all of that information. Now, if you wanted to add the cause property as well, I'm checking for that, and then I would output that. A lot of people don't use that, but here we go. I'm now going to go ahead. You can see I'm attempting the result equals x divided by 10, where x is not defined. I'm in the catch block of the custom error. And now here is that my error. The error occurred, x is not defined. You then see the error name, the error message, the error date, the function, the class, and then the stack trace. This is really nice. So I've added on some additional functionality where I can add maybe some information that might be more meaningful to me, like what function was I in, what class was I in when this error occurred. The error date, that's really good if you're going to take this data and you're going to log it maybe into a file. So lots of great information and great ways to extend some of the built-in classes in JavaScript. So in this lesson, we used class inheritance to extend functionality. We used the super keyword to access a base class. We created an overload of a method, and we extended built-in JavaScript classes. Coming up next, implement static properties and methods in JavaScript.